Grounds. Now, the great outdoors with Jason White.
Hello, friends. This is Jason White. Welcome to the Great Outdoors. Happy to have you today. I want to start off by giving a special thanks to our sponsors, the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. You can join the MOA today at MarianaOutdoors.com. Again, MarianaOutdoors.com. Wild Acres Farm Fishery and Regulated Hunting Grounds. If you're looking to do an upland bird hunt, trophy trout fishing trip, weekend getaway, wild turkey hunt, and also a wild whitetail hunt, you can go to 10mileco.org. Again, 10mile, TENMILECO.org, or you can call 724-579-0924. And last but not least, special thanks to Washington County Tourism and Promotion Agency. Please visit Washington County, Pennsylvania. I want to dive into some events upcoming for the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. Let's see here. Thursday, April 4th, there's going to be a trout stalking. That'll be at 3 p.m. As always, we meet at 1997 Morey Road, Clarksville, Pennsylvania, 15322. That is the Wild Acres farm. That is actually that address will get you right to the office, bait shop, lodge space. Saturday, April 20th and the 21st, we have a long-range hunter class scheduled. Highly recommend this class if you're somebody looking to do a trip out west, or if you're even going anywhere around the world that you plan on shooting 300 yards or farther as a potential. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. If you want any info, it's on our Facebook page and also our website. Please check it out. Happy to have you for that. Thursday, May 2nd at 3 p.m., we're going to have another trout stalking. This will be in preparation leading up to Friday, May 3rd, and Friday, May 4th is the PA Trout Classic. It's going to be a really, really fun 2-day trout contest, tournament, however you want to brand it. Really excited because there are people from all over the state of Pennsylvania coming to Washington County to enjoy trout fishing. Saturday, July the 13th. This is at 9 a.m. It'll be the annual MOA golf outing in a collaboration with the Fayette County Farm Bureau, and it'll be at Cedar Brook Golf Course. So if you're interested in that, again, it's on the website, MarianaOutdoors.com. It's also on our Facebook page. Would love, love, love to have you. I just got back from Harrisburg, and I wanted to give some updates regarding some Pennsylvania Farm Bureau policy, some things that were discussed, some things going on. I want to give a special thanks to the Fayette County Farm Bureau. Awesome job by everybody. And also I want to thank the leadership of the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. Great event. Lots of wonderful discussions. And last but not least, I'd like to thank all the elected officials that chose to participate. It really means a lot because we had some awesome conversations, and based on those conversations, I kind of wanted to give you some updates as to what was discussed, where we are, and hopefully where we're headed in a positive regard. So I know I've talked about it obviously a lot in the past in regards to wildlife, but there are some bills right now. There is a Senate Bill 1087. It's for hunting for crop damage solutions by Senator Rothman and Senators Vogel. Also, collaboratively, there is House Bills 2106, 2107, and 2108 by Representative Mandy Still. That is coming out of the Game and Fisheries Committee for the House of Representatives. So how this is happening is both of these collective packages are geared to address, number one, Sunday hunting would then be legalized in the state of Pennsylvania. That's number one. As part of this, there's 4 arms that come off of it. Number one, trespass reform under Title 34. Title 34 is the game code. So basically, the short and skinny on this is that anybody that commits trespass while hunting or trapping, the penalties are going to go way up. I know there were some concerns, and I know this was something that was brought up a lot in regards to retrieval of hounds and dogs. That has since been addressed. Obviously, thanks to all of you with your comments, questions, concerns, and reaching out to your elected officials. But that is being addressed so that way you can still retrieve a dog without a firearm and not in the act of hunting if it wanders onto a property. Second thing is the crop damage program. There's going to be some reforms to that to make it easier for a farmer to adequately dispose of an animal carcass in a timely manner. The way it is right now, you have to wait for the game commission, and if it's a 95-degree day, it doesn't take very long for the meat to spoil. So this is something to just kind of expedite and speed up that process. The third part of this is to establish an agricultural representative on the Pennsylvania Game Commission. The Farm Bureau's policy is actually to have agriculture representation on the Game Commission and Fish Commission. This strictly addresses the Game Commission side of things. This in no way, shape, or form is a representative from the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. This is to establish a knowledge base on the Game Commission that's a requirement for somebody to have agricultural experience and background, because at the end of the day, just for example, approximately of all the deer harvested in Pennsylvania, and I got this data from the Pennsylvania Game Commission, approximately 88% of all deer harvested come from private property. The remaining percentage comes from game lands and public lands. That's huge. That is a huge number. So when we sit there and look at the data, it's clear that the private property owners in Pennsylvania, whether that's farmers or even if you're just a landowner, those folks need more of a voice, and that's simply what we're trying to advocate for, is to get more people engaged and involved with the knowledge of what the repercussions of their decisions are. So that's number 3. Number 4, there's going to be a new hunter access program. The hunter access program will mimic other states in the capacity that basically there will be additional farms that can register to allow hunters to access their property. To be allowed to do that, you have to go through these additional safety classes and background checks. Sad but true. Obviously, a lot of the programs right now, or actually all the programs right now that allow 100% access, do not vet people. Somebody could be a criminal. Somebody could be, a substance abuse user. Somebody could be a lawbreaker regularly. Just because they do that doesn't mean that they lose their hunting privileges. So with this, it gives the landowner the right to know who somebody is. It gives them the right to say, yes, you can hunt here, or no, you can't. And I would say most importantly, it goes through ethics, morals, how things should or shouldn't be handled on private property. It's kind of like, I don't know, I hate to say it, but teaching people things that they should be taught already. But clearly in society, there's some things that we've been lacking as far as teaching kids and even teaching adults. So this is more about giving you as hunters more access, but you have to put a little bit of time in regards to just going through some classes and background checks, etc. So that way you get vetted to have the opportunity to access this additional land. I think it's a fantastic thing. I think it's a fantastic thing for everybody. I can speak to the public access program as it is today. It's a circus. That's my opinion based upon what I've seen. Watching these farms with orange armies, litter, dead deer dying on other properties because people don't adequately go and try to retrieve. I could go on and on with the things I've seen in that capacity. But stray bullets going through the woods on other people's property. Now, I say this with a grain of salt. I understand that's not everywhere. I understand that's not everybody. But I'm speaking from my experience. These are things that I've seen. When you open up Pandora's box to everybody, there's always the opportunity that a bad apple can get in. And why that's important is with this new program, it allows for the weeding of the bad apples, and it gives, more hunters more access. And at the end of the day, that's a great thing. So I really would like to thank everybody involved with all of this. Clearly, it's not officially been... how do I want to say it? It hasn't been voted on the floor yet. I know that The Senate package has come out of committee. It is open for discussion on the Senate floor. The package coming out of the House of Representatives has yet to make it to the floor. It's still in committee. Hopefully, that is going to be an upcoming topic here very, very soon. So I will definitely keep everybody posted on this, but it seems like it's headed in a positive direction. Everybody seems to be on the same page, and really looking forward to, where things go from here. Some other things that were discussed, solar energy. There are some major concerns over the fact that, land can't be made. This is clear. And some of these companies are getting state and federal credits and even funding. And what they're doing is they're going and basically putting solar fields on prime farmland. And clearly this is a concern over the long term, especially for, I would say, we ever go to war, for our own sovereignty and for our own safety, to be able to have food and to be able to provide for our people is critical. So there are other things that we wanted to talk about. That's how it is now, where there is opportunity where farms can be destroyed. The Farm Bureau does oppose the destruction of a farm for a solar farm. But that being said, it prompted a lot of discussions about some other things. Looking into more opportunities for landowners for credits or even incentives in regards to putting solar panels on houses, barns, buildings, office buildings. This is like a no-brainer. Right now, we're just kind of lackluster in what we have available to incentivize anybody to do that. Number two, Pennsylvania is one of the cloudiest states of all the states. This is something to acknowledge and to accept when you talk about solar. But those buildings and structures, it makes sense to try to pursue that as an opportunity. Additionally, there are many, many, many thousands of acres of blighted properties and blighted structures, blighted brownfields in the state of Pennsylvania. These properties can be highly beneficial to pursue for solar fields. When I say a brownfield, you're talking about maybe a scarred old piece of coal property that a company went bankrupt back in the 50s or whatever it was, before bonding was a requirement in the state of Pennsylvania. There are a lot of these properties, and these properties could really benefit from being redeveloped. And the problem is, when you have an old slag pile, there's minimal to no nutrition. Basically, not very much will grow on it. So in these capacities, this could be a great opportunity for it to be turned into something beneficial, to have a positive outcome. Also, Pennsylvania has the second most waterways of any state, trailing only behind Alaska, with over 80,000 miles of waterways in the state of Pennsylvania. When we talked about renewable energy, dams and hydroelectric dams were not even a topic of discussion. There are many benefits to hydroelectricity. One, clearly, it's our most abundant resource in the state of Pennsylvania for renewable energy. Number two, depending on the depth of these dams, don't quote me, but you need approximately 20-foot drop to create energy on a more sustainable and I would say cost-effective basis. Don't get me wrong, they sell a lot of little micro solar panel, or not solar panel, but hydro panel setups to where you only need very low flow. Those do exist. They can be done. They work. But when you're talking about a bigger market outside of, just private property or even some small base, if you're talking about feeding the grid, you need a bigger setup. But that being said, I know obviously there were discussions about, obviously you don't want to destroy a farm with that either. Absolutely not. There's a lot of properties in Pennsylvania that would fit the bill of, minimal impacts to create a 20-foot drop. think about it. There's a lot of ravines, different areas where you have a lot of water, access to water that could create a lot of head pressure. So, we talked about that. We also talked about how dams, when they're over 20 foot in depth, can actually cool the water, and when you draw from the bottom of a dam, it actually can actually cool a stream. So cooler streams equate to, actually, in the big scheme of things, you're helping cool the environment and cool the planet. So that's an important piece of the puzzle. What else did we have as far as solar? I mean, those are the biggest things in regards to solar, and talking about hydro as a viable option in the future, really acknowledging the facts of where we are and where we need to get to preserve more farmland. And then on to environmental. We touched base about MS4 compliance and some of the just stormwater runoff issues that farmers are having, and the concerns, that some of these regulators are trying to pursue. And then we did have conversations about the general permits. I know I've talked about it on past episodes here. The general permits in Pennsylvania are an utter disaster. You can put a shiny bow on a turd and say it's a great thing, but what we have right now is a broken system. Can be fixed very easily. We had great conversations about this. The solutions are simple. It's just the will to want to do it. When you have people in Harrisburg in these bureaucracy positions that think that, this is great, greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, I'm sure if you think it's great, you're not going to want to change it. So it's on all of us to advocate to the fact that this isn't great. It's not working. It's very much a broken structure. And I learned so much. I know that there's been, in the past year or whatnot, this advocacy that, if the permits aren't done in a timely manner, the permit applicant can get their money back. I just come to find out through some budget hearings that not $1 in the whole year through the entire state of Pennsylvania through DEP's permitting program has been given back to a business owner or a person. That's just unbelievable. So, these promises, in many views, many regards, are just empty. There's just been a lack of follow-up. Conceptually, yeah, it's great to hear this, but basically the bureaucrats have circumvented it, and they're not giving the money back. They have not given $1, and that is terrible. That is absolutely terrible, because the permits are not getting done in a timely manner, and as I've discussed before, this could be the click of a button, submitted with pre-approved standard operating procedure drawings, and boom, you're done, over with. Yeah, they can come and check on it. Doesn't take away any oversight authority, but it's the layers and layers and layers of bureaucracy. And the things about that really, I would say the thing that really startles me the most about the bureaucracy is the lack of qualifications for the people that are reviewing these documents. That's what's like dumbfounding to me. I came out of the mining industry, and when I was in the mining industry, it was extremely critical that you had to have private sector experience, number one. Obviously, it was good going into either MSHA or the DEP at that time to have a college education, but the private sector experience was critical. It's very hard for anybody. Like I don't remember a single inspector that didn't have some form of private sector experience, whether they were a mine examiner, whether they were a mine foreman. You were somebody with knowledge of what you were dealing with and what you were doing. You go to these folks in the DEP, and it's like a baby looking at the light. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable that we are hiring these kids out of college with either little to no private sector experience. They're reviewing these permits, and they are interpreting them how they see them, and they're causing just utter chaos for everyone involved. And it needs to be fixed. It needs to be resolved. We need to cut the red tape. We talk all the time folks say about cutting red tape. This is a monumental piece of red tape. There's like 50 layers of tape here that can be cut, and we can cut it down to one, and it'd be streamlined and simple. The computer technology is archaic. The program, to my understanding, is approximately 15 years old. How does that happen? How's it 15 years old? That's just we have to get with the times. I mean, holy smokes! You buy typically a 10-year-old computer is an old computer for most people in today's world. Outside of keeping it for Microsoft Word or something like that, but the fact that we have government agencies, huge government agencies, with programs that are 15 years old without utilizing modern technology, I find to be simply and utterly amazing. So I can tell you there are definitely legislators in southwestern Pennsylvania that are hot and heavy about this, because I feel, from what I've gathered, they gave this money back program that was supposed to be such a monumental idea. They gave it a year to try and see how it went. Nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing has changed. Yes, you can apply for permits online, and yes, you can submit them, but no, you're not going to get immediate approval. General permits, I cannot stress to each and all of you, general permits are supposed to be general. They're supposed to be generic. They're supposed to be standard operating procedure type stuff. And whether you're putting in fence posts, whether you're putting in a little gravel crossing across a little creek, whether you're putting cattle guards up across a stream, or whatever it may be, fish habitat for some fish for environmental improvements, it is not supposed to be something that is so complex, so difficult, and monumentally crippling to your time and to your wallet. And that's where we're at right now. And the only way it's going to get fixed is by all of us talking about it and pursuing these out-of-the-box ideas to get it with the times. So that being said, between the wildlife piece of the puzzle, we talked about the solar stuff, we talked about the environmental stuff. I mean, I have a lot of other things that I want to pursue in regards to the environmental, in regards to getting the Fish Commission, Department of Ag, DEP, and even Game Commission all on the same page, because when you talk about, even from an agricultural perspective, when you're talking about fencing, not all those agencies are on board with that proposition in regards to whether that's programs, funding, how it's handled. It's very convoluted. Basically, in many ways, you got to know somebody to even get from point A to point B. And we're just trying to break down barriers to really be conservationists. Farmers do want to do things. Farmers do not want to pollute streams. Farmers do not want to do wrong. But obviously, clearly, to keep up with not only today's permitting ideologies, programs, who's in charge of what, it takes a lot of time and effort to even just weave through and figure everything out. We're just trying to, like I said, cut some of the red tape, make it easier on everybody. And we're getting there. I spoke to a gentleman yesterday when I was in Harrisburg, and he said to me he was frustrated. And I said, "What are you frustrated for?" He's like, "Well, I feel like for a long time we were kind of stagnant." And he's like, "And now we're making a lot of progress in like the past year in a good way." He's like, "But it just seems like we're climbing a mountain." And I was like, "Well, when things that were stagnant for so long in some ways, and if every little problem is like a bean in a basket, and you just keep adding a bean to that basket, eventually that basket's going to not only be full, but it's going to start to overflow, and it's going to weigh on your arm." And I said, what we're doing right now, there's nothing we're talking about that's putting a man on the moon. These are common sense, looking at a problem, identifying solutions, and figuring out how to get from A to B. But we're slowly pulling the beans out of the basket to take the load off of you. And that's the goal at the end of the day. The goal at the end of the day is not to add problems to our lives, but to remove them. And I'm really happy. I'm really pleased with the progress that we've made. I'm really looking forward to the future. We got a lot of other things. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. I'm not sure if you saw the news, but there was a bobwhite quail reintroduction into the Lancaster County area of the state. I was fascinated when I saw this. I was absolutely fascinated because the newspapers and everybody were touting the fact that 50 bobwhite quail were released into the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. What a grandiose idea this is, and blah blah blah. And conceptually, if you're not a sportsman, you don't hunt, you don't fish, you would think, oh, that's great. Knowing what I know about predators, knowing what I know about habitat, knowing what I know about food sources, my spidey sense kind of popped up, and I was like, well, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. What is this? First of all, 50 is a drop in the bucket. I can tell you although, yes, I have a hunting preserve and manage a hunting preserve, we let out approximately 5,000 birds. There's still pheasants running around. But I do a lot of the quail earlier in the year, and I can tell you absolutely decimated by hawks and owls. And I would say that, I didn't get it on video or pictures, but clearly I would assume that the coyote and fox put a good dent in them as well. But what is very, very critical is predators, without a shadow of a doubt, in the state of Pennsylvania are a huge, huge, huge conservation problem. They are decimating and destroying our ecosystem. I cannot stress this to you enough. It's point blank fact. Somebody might say to me, well, where's your data to back this up? Come to my farm. Come to my farm, and we'll just ride around, and I'll show you the poof balls of where a bird got decimated by a raptor. A raptor being, there's not just red-tailed hawks, there's not just owls, there are kestrels, there are northern harriers, there are things that people call chicken hawks, Cooper hawks. There's just a wide variety of hawk species. They're going to go for easy prey. To sit and think that they will not destroy quail is utterly an insane proposition. So I asked the question. I reached out to the Game Commission. I asked the question, like, I was fascinated because it was like, well, wait a minute. What's being done at this property? Like, is there like some predator management program that's taking place that I'm unaware of, or we haven't seen, or it's not been published? Like, what's going on? Well, not really. And I'm just like, well, knowing what I know, and knowing that I'm sure all of you drive down the road and look along the highways, and there's a huge red-tailed hawk sitting there, looking down, waiting for some prey. It's kind of mind-boggling to me that we are touting letting 50 bobwhite quail out into the environment that are going to be utterly destroyed. I cannot stress this to each and every one of you with utmost fact. If we do not get the hawks under control in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what magic wand you want to wave. We will never have good small game hunting in this Commonwealth ever again. You have to understand, let me tell you this story so you get a better understanding. When you go and Google search what's an apex predator, you'll get a list from the federal government what they view are apex predators. Hawks and owls fall into these different categories. Basically, they're at the top of their food chains, and little to nothing is going to kill them or hurt them or harm them in any capacity. If it is, very rare. That being said, we have hawks in Pennsylvania that some migrate, some are domesticated. When I say domesticated, basically they might have a nest on your farm or whatnot. They're not really leaving. They're here all the time. Do some migrate? Absolutely. It's no different than waterfowl. There's a lot of geese, ducks, etc. that never really They stay in the localized area. They don't really travel far distances. When we talk about these hawks, they have been classified years ago by the federal government, and now they're still protected. And basically, just for management purposes, you have the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, you have the Pennsylvania Game Commission, and you have the USDA. 3 layers of government. God bless us for this, but absolutely too much red tape. That being said, what I was required to do is I was required to put out a trap to try to trap these things to be alive. Then I was required to take them to the Pittsburgh International Airport to get a leg band. From there, I was then required to take the hawks to a game lands where the Game Commission is stalking pheasants. Think about this. Like, these are top of the food chain predators that utterly kill pheasants, quail, chukars, rabbits, squirrels. I could go on and on and on. It's the current setup is utterly insane, and it is beyond that. We have aerial predators that need to be put in check. Now, I am not advocating nor insinuating that we should in any way do anything less or more than do what's good for conservation, what's good for the environment. Allowing apex predators to go completely and utterly unchecked is not a good way to have a healthy ecosystem. Absolutely not. In no way, shape, or form is it healthy. Now, do I feel that the proposition to release bobwhite quails is a good thing? I absolutely do. I think that is something that should be released in conjunction with our pheasant stalking program. There's no reason why not. Why would we not do it? I'll tell you why we won't do it. The reason we won't do it is the game lands alone are run with predators. We do not have enough predator management practices in this state. And we can no longer sit here and rely on trapping. Trapping is a great mechanism, and there are a lot of wonderful trappers in this Commonwealth. That goes without saying. But we are not doing an adequate job of keeping the ecosystem in balance. And that is something that is fact. It's not a maybe, it's not an if. It's just totally and utterly fact. And if we are not all doing our part, and it's not being able to be kept up as it is, then you have to look for alternative solutions. And this is where I'm coming in with this. We have to look and pursue other mechanisms of environmental stability when it comes to managing these different species. And it needs to be talked about. And if that is some type of a program where people are compensated for harvesting so many, or if we sell additional tags for so many, or whatever it is that we do, we have to be, at least, number one, we have to acknowledge the fact that this is a huge problem. This is a huge problem. And hawks do worse than just kill wild game. They are destroying people's chickens. I can tell you, at my property, I've had structural damages from them destroying netting and causing a lot of problems, like pen issues. The concerns that I see and the concerns that I have are that we have opportunities here. The bobwhite quail reintroduction is a fantastic idea. It is good for kids. It is good for sportsmen. It's good for Pennsylvania. But if we do not address the predator problems in this state, we are doing, each and every one of us, an injustice. And I think that I cannot stress this enough, that predators in this state are out of control. And trust me, it's not just hawks. It's not just hawks. You have to look on the ground. You have a lot of other, I would call them nesting predators. Skunk, possums, red fox, gray fox. These are a good example. Raccoons. There's 5 animals right there that will utterly destroy a grouse nest that's on the ground. They will destroy a rabbit nest on the ground. They will destroy a turkey nest on the ground. So we first have to acknowledge like what these things do and the decimation and the destruction that they cause. But if we're going to ignore it, you need not wonder where all the rabbits have went. You need not wonder why aren't there as many squirrels as there used to be? Why aren't there as many pheasants as there used to be? And trust me, I'm not sitting here trying to advocate that this is a one thing solution. Habitat is important. Habitat's very important. Having, at the end of the day, 50 years ago, there were an abundance of grain farms, people planting oats and wheat and barley and rye and yada, yada, yada. I could go on and on and on. Those things are fantastic. There were a lot of people that did a lot more hayfields 20, 30 years ago. Dairy farms were much more abundant. You had more, I would say, green spaces. And now a lot of these areas have grown up. It's not the best, most conducive habitat for birds. Now, some of it's getting better for grouse, but when you look at it from a pheasant or even, I would even say a quail, some of these spaces, some of these opportunities are a little problematic. That doesn't mean there isn't opportunities for habitat improvements. Absolutely is. But again, and I'm not saying that they can't live in the environments that we're putting them in. They absolutely can. But it's with anything. When they don't have when their mechanism is to flee, to try to get away, and that's all they have, they're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to the food chain. And the concerns that I see over the reintroduction of the bobwhite quail is that we are not doing enough to manage the ecosystem for predators. And if we do not do that, it is never going to get fixed. It's never going to get resolved. We're never going to get in a place where quail are reproducing or pheasants are reproducing. That can happen. It can happen. It absolutely can happen. We could have cottontail rabbits being abundant. But if we do not sit here and acknowledge the negative benefits of those predators on the ecosystem, we're doing ourselves a grave injustice. And it's not benefiting the outdoors. It's not benefiting you as a farmer. It's not benefiting the sportsman. It's not benefiting that kid that you want to see get engaged in the outdoors because he goes to the game lands and all you see is a bunch of poofs from predators basically just coming to the smorgasbord to destroy them because nobody's going to do anything about it because the current interpretation is that pheasants are just put and take. Pheasants are acknowledged as put and take because of poor managerial practices. Nothing more, nothing less. And I can tell you, wildlife and the ecosystem as a whole is something you have to manage. You just can't sit there and have a problem and say, oh, well, you know, we have all these predators. Well, geez, what are we going to do? Well, I can assure you, if you do nothing, you're going to get crap results. And right now, I love the idea of reintroduction of bobwhite quail. I love the idea of stalking quail in conjunction with pheasants. But there's a but. If we do not acknowledge the negative implications of predators and do something to address it and to maintain a healthy ecosystem, we're headed down a bad path, folks, and I don't know how you fix it if you do not want to talk about it, number one. Number two, if we don't want to identify solutions. Sitting here and acting like it doesn't exist, we're doing nothing but harm to our communities, to our families, to the state of Pennsylvania, and to the thing that we love, the great outdoors, that great pastime. Just want to reiterate everybody about the upcoming MOA events. Thursday, April 4th will be a trout stalking. That's at 3 o'clock. Saturday, April 20th and 21st, long-range hunter class. And I just want to reiterate, all events are on Facebook and also the website, MarianaOutdoors.com, and the Facebook is Mariana Outdoorsman Association. Thursday, May 2nd, trout stalking at 3 p.m. Friday, May 3rd and May 4th, the MOA will be closed for members and the general public. It'll be closed to honor and host the PA Trout Classic. So May 3rd and 4th will be strictly the PA Trout Classic when it comes to fishing. Saturday, July 13th will be the annual golf outing. Got information on that. Also about our collaboration with the Fayette County Farm Bureau. If you need to have any questions or you'd like to register, please check us out on Facebook, and you can also go to our website, marianaoutdoors.com. And as always, I just want to reiterate the fact that you can follow us on YouTube at MOA Outdoor Channel. You can listen to us on our podcast, Anchor Radio, and Spotify website. Can't wait to see everybody this spring, because I just want to reiterate, we got a few weeks here and opening day of trout season's coming. So make sure either if you're going to your local club or if you're headed to a Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission stocked waterway, just make sure you got everything that you need. Make sure you hit the store in advance. The last thing you want to do is be getting ready to go to trout season the night before and you don't have your things. But I just want to say thank you so much to everybody. It's been a blessing this past week with the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau and the Legislative Conference. Had a great time. And I'm really looking forward to keeping everybody updated about what we're working on, kind of the goals at hand. And I can't say thanks enough also to all the legislators, not only in southwestern Pennsylvania, but across the whole state, that have been actively supporters of agriculture and advocates. And I can't say, again, thank you enough. But for this week, I'm Jason White signing off. This is A Great Outdoors. I will talk to everybody here soon. Have a blessed Easter and enjoy it with your families. God bless.